Hello, hello. Making sure everyone can hear me. If you, I see there's people online in the chat. If you can tell me if you can hear me, please. I won't be facing the phone because it's live on Instagram. I'll be facing more the computer. Let's start. Welcome, woman. Welcome to our sacred space. I'm Milla Dalbem. I'm a sacred feminine specialist. I'm very, very, very happy to be here today. Very excited to that live video. Um, this live is a warm up. I'm gonna be doing 3 lives, leveling the knowledge that we all have about sacred feminine, especially everything related to our phases, our hormonal phases, our body. And this is one from 3 other lives that comes before, a little bit before our webinar, which calls Unlocking Your Power, a Journey into the Womb. It's going to be very special. I'm going to be teaching many things about how learning about your body can set you free, can brings you autonomy, can make you to love being a woman. It's a process, it's a journey, but it's really, really beautiful. I can tell you by my own experience. I want to ask everyone to share this link from this live with more people so more women can have access to this information. Hi, Carol. Can you hear me well? Giving me a heads up, someone. Is good? Perfect. So, as I say, this live is the beginning. Is the first live from a warm up series with many other lives. So the link is for you to sign up. It's on the details here from this live in the YouTube. It's also on my bio on Instagram. If you want to receive exclusive podcasts, I'm sending audios every day with many informations and many stories about sacred feminine and how learning about your menstrual cycle can help you. I also sending all the links. So those lives, you're only gonna have access if you are in the group. Like they won't be saved in a place that anyone can have access. Just for the women that are in the sign up for the workshop. Only then we will receive the links so you can watch it later again and again and again. Because there is a lot of interesting information here. There is a lot of things that can blow your mind. I choose this theme to be the first one, how your menstrual cycle can interfere on your relationships, because I believe that relationships are one of the most one of the things that women seeks the most. Deep inside, many of us at the end we want to be loved, we want to have love in our life. And I'm not only saying about like romantic relationships, it's also about meaningful relationships. And meaningful relationships can also be with our friends, it can be in our work, with our family. So learning about our menstrual cycle, and not only about our menstrual cycle, but about the phases in our life, helps us to better communicate our needs. Who never was called crazy or bipolar? What woman has never been called crazy or bipolar by other people? Because one day we decide we want to go for a concert today because maybe we are ovulating, but maybe in a few days we completely don't want to go. And people do not understand that women are cyclical. People that don't understand that we have this variation of hormones in our body, they don't understand, especially men's, they don't understand this variation of emotions, of feelings, of wishes. But one of my wounds was already how I, like, no man's understand me. No man's understand my needs. No man's understand why I changed my opinion from a week ago. But how anyone else in the universe will understand us if you don't understand yourself first? We can only expect something from other people when we understand ourselves first. Does it make sense? So if you don't know why you changing your mind, how are you going to explain to your partner? How are you going to explain to someone in your family? How are you going to explain about it if yourself don't have understanding about it? So I'm done with women being called crazy. We are not crazy. We are cyclical. We have variations, and not only in our hormonal phases, but in life. I am not the same person I was when I was on right after my kid was born. I am not the same person. I have not the same needs as I had when I was just starting my menstrual cycle when I was like around my 13 years old. I not gonna be the same person as my menopause comes. We have many different phases. We are cyclical. Anyone here has experience already with something around this? Have someone experienced something you want to talk about? The chat is on because it's this live is for us to communicate. You can bring your questions to. It's a safe space for us to communicate. Drinking my cacao. The Maria Carolina that is online teach me how to do and introduce it to my life. So thank you. So let's start. Every woman in in the age I will first talk about women that are in with their reproductive system working with or hormones going on right now. I'm gonna be talking close towards to the end more about all the phases of a woman's life in general. Right now, I'm gonna talk more about the 4 phases we have in a month. A regular cycle, a regular feminine cycle, has around 28 to 32 days. It can be more, it can be less, and it not necessarily means that you have some wellness, that you have some dysfunction. But normally, like 80% of the woman gonna have a cycle that will take long between 28 days to 32 days. Imagine that in 28 days, we are at least four different people. We are 4 different faces of a woman. And that it's obviously that people gonna call us crazy because not many women has understanding about this. But that's why we're here. We're here to learn about this. We're learning to honor this as a sacred. A woman, we've been calling sacred woman is a woman that understands how cyclical we are, and we honor this because this means we healthy. That means we are portals for life. That means that we are who we are. So we cannot deny that part of us. And a lot of people has struggled with their menstrual cycle, with the fact they are women, exactly because they don't have understanding and they didn't learn how to honor their cycles and their variations inside the cycles. But it's a blessing to be a woman. It's a blessing to have these 4 different phases, which are our menstrual cycle. Our menstrual phase is exactly the moment that our bleed started until it's done. And then we have our follicular phase, which takes like around the fifth day to around 12, 14. Each woman depends. I'm going to be explaining more and more and more about it with in the future classes. Then we have our ovulatory phase phase, which is the moment that we are ovulating. It can take around 6 days, sometimes less, but it's around 6 days in the month, which we are a completely different person, a completely different person from the person that was menstruating a few days later. And also after ovulation comes the luteal phase, which is again another person, completely different person. What are they gonna call us? Crazy. What we call ourselves? Cyclical. So all those inside those four phases we have completely different hormones happening. We have completely different um, chemicals happening in our body. So we're gonna have definitely different reactions. We're gonna have different emotions. We're gonna have different feelings. And the reason why we need to understand it all is for communication. But it's not only for communication for the outside, it's especially for communicating ourselves. Because who has never had a big disagreement, a big struggle in life, and suddenly the blood comes, the menstruation flows, and we are like, ah, oh, that was it then. Does anyone relate to this? Because God, that happens a lot to me. So let's talk now about how we change in those four phases. Let's start with follicular phase. So after the blood stop, our body start to renew itself. So I'm not gonna go very deep in the hormonal part right now. I really want to talk more about emotions and needs on each phase. So, because the idea is to relate this with relationships. A woman, when she started her follicular phase, she's like a kid. She's very excited with life. She wanna go everywhere. If you are in a group with your friends and someone calls you to go to a concert, you're gonna buy the tickets. If you are in your follicular phase, you buy the ticket. If they call you to go to the church, you go. If they call you whatever, like you have so much energy, you have so much desire. Your inner child is so activated that anything they say to you, you make plans. And guess what? Most of the plans you make on this phase, you're gonna regret. Does any woman here has going through this? Like you make a you make a plan, and in a few days you're gonna be like, oh, Jesus, why did I bought the tickets? Right? Why? And it's also a phase that we are much less judgmental because we are with our inner child in. So it's very, very, very easy for us to be playful, to be creative, to do more artistic things with our hands. So if you know, like if you are from Boston, here in the area has a lot of those places where you can go out for a bar to painting or to do clay, anything more artistic. That is the moment that we are up to it. um, Also, we don't see dangers. We don't see danger in anything. Our inner child is really so stable there that we don't see any danger in life. It's a moment that we are relaxed and happy and just like up to anything, which we're probably gonna regret. Just let me read what people has been saying. Sophia say, I do feel emotionally very strongly, and a few days after I get my period. Felicita Andre, that happened with me a few days ago. I bought tickets for a concert, and at the day I just didn't feel to go. You probably bought the tickets when you were uh, on your follicular phase, and then you regret going because probably your luteal phase or menstrual phase was arriving. It's very, very common. If you never noticed that before in your life, observe it. And people will will make confusions about here. Anna, okay. People gets confusion because here is things that's exactly the importance of learning about this. If that happens to Anna, she just mentioned that she bought tickets for a concert and then she decided not going today. If this group has too many men's or has women that don't understand about menstrual cycles, people can just get mad at you because you made that, and then they say, oh, but we cannot trust what she say because she might ended up not going. But it's not that. If a woman is honoring her period, if she's honoring her phases, she will just respect that. And we're gonna go through more on why we change personality, why we change decisions, why we change our wishes. One thing that I don't want to forget about talking is about the love language, the best love language for each phase of our cycle. When we are in the follicular phase, when we are this child, when we are in the inner child phase, inside our cycle, the best love language to be using is words of affirmation. Think on a kid. If you have a kid, or if you don't have it, but if you have being with other kids around, kids love words of affirmation. So when right after our menstruation is done, words of affirmation for a woman's are perfect, because that's our inner child being feed with love. It's how she receives love, words of affirmation. And also learning those things is interesting because you can communicate, you can teach those things to your partner. So he's gonna know better when to say each like how to use the love language with you. With your friends, if you are already with a group of women that you have your cycles together, it's even easier for you to have this communication. Like, I have my cycle sync with some of my friends. Now we're gonna start practicing, right, girls? Loves affirmations when we know we are in our follicular phase, because the inner child loves. Let's go now for the ovulatory phase. Is when the woman it is having the egg released in our ovaries, and physiologically, this is the moment that we are supposed to glow. It is the moment that we are supposed to call attention, to attract attention, to have people watching us, to have people looking at us. It's the moment that our hair gonna be the most beautiful, our skin is gonna be glowing. This is the moment, because physiologically, for the species uh, to keep existing, we would need this physical and external things so we can attract a partner and have kids. And that's exactly what happens. So in this phase, normally we're gonna feel empowered, seductive. You're gonna put your whatever clothes you put on will fit perfect. You feel comfortable, you feel confident. But there is also a trick in here. There is a very dangerous thing in this phase. You also fall in love very easily. So if you met a guy, or if you met a possible partner and you know you are ovulating, wait until you give your heart, because it's very, very common for women to just like fall in love and then regret. That calls ovulation. phase. Does any woman here has going through this? Because I have a lot. Now I always check on my cycle, like, better to wait a little bit. Also, this phase is a phase that if you have some sort of addictions, they are more related to pleasure or body sensations, like even drugs and sex. If you have if you're prone to addictions, this moment it's a harder one. So if you are struggling with some addiction, you knowing that, oh, I am on my ovulatory phase, you need to watch yourself more. That this is going to be a more challenging moment for your life. Also, um, the love language in this phase is touch, because it's the moment that our body is feeling a lot. Our body is very, very sensible, exploding, glowing. So it's very, very common that it's also physiological. It's a need for humans to exist. Any questions so far? Here. Marcela, I miss you too. Uh, luteal phase. This phase is after ovulation happen. Our some levels of our hormones drop, and we are storing blood in our uterus, and we start to release some hormones and cells that will start to make everything inside of us to get old and inflamed. And once that happens, our hormones, like our hormones, are dropping, and we have inflammation cells in our body. So what's gonna happen? We're gonna start to feel irritated. So that is the phase that we're gonna get in the work, our job. Our boss gonna look to us and gonna say, "Good morning." And gonna say, "To who? Not for me. But yesterday you were glowing. Yesterday you were seductive. But today, apparently, you don't want to see your boss. You don't want to see your partner. You don't want to see your kids. You just you just want to explode someone's face." Normal. It's not, you're not bipolar, you just cyclical. Your luteal phase has arrived. Welcome to universe, to a feminine universe. We're here, ready to explode, because that's who we are. On that phase, we also gonna take everything personal. We regret every decision we made in the follicular phase, in the ovulatory phase. We're just gonna regret. And we start to become much more judgmental. So if you're not a person that normally is judgmental, and you know that about yourself, and suddenly you start, like, someone say something and you start to look to them, make like a face like, everything's fine, but I'm judging you. You're probably on your luteal phase. It's not, again, it's not that we are crazy bitches. We are not crazy. We're not bipolar. We're just cyclical. It's just a phase in our cycle where we take everything personal. It's a phase in our cycle that we take everything for the wrong side. But it will pass. As all the other phases, it will pass. Also, in this phase, our bodies start to get swollen. And what happens is, we're going to put the clothes on and they won't fit. We're going to feel not comfortable, not proud of our body. And we, like, any, you can put any cloth you think you thought would be good, the same cloth you used 2 weeks ago that was perfect, when you are in your luteal phase, probably it's not good today. Again, your kid gonna look at you and gonna be like, go away. Normal. A woman just struggling with, it's not exactly struggling, because once you understand that, once you have information, you're just gonna stop, take a deep breath, and say, oh, I'm PMSing. Oh, I'm in my luteal phase. It will pass. I just need to breathe. I just need to survive. And also, talking about the love language for a woman who are PMSing or is in the luteal phase, it's definitely, who guess what? Anyone want to guess which is the love language for this phase? Gifts. Gifts and acts of service. A woman on her luteal phase, if if you have a relationship, if you're in a relationship, tell your husband, your partner, when I'm PMSing, please do the dishes. Buy me chocolate. Buy me flowers. Buy me salt, Epsom salt, so I can take a bath and have time for myself. See, once you know how to communicate, life is much easier. You can have your boss like putting chocolates on your table, and then instead of hating him, you might love him. You can communicate for your kids, you can communicate for your friends. Hey, I'm PMSing, I'm taking things personal today. Let's have this conversation in a week. See how things get much easier once you know where you are. But like it's impossible for me to keep track of my cycle and keep track of the cycle of every other woman around me. It's impossible. So you are the person who's responsible to keep track of your, like, where you are on your cycle. So you can communicate. So if someone comes and tells you something that hurts, you look to the person and say, look, let's talk in a week. Let's talk in few days. It's much easier. And talking now about menstrual phase. On menstrual phase, I split it in two different views. Why? We have the woman. They still don't have any connection with her body. She gonna have a way to react with her menstrual phase. She probably gonna struggle with cramps. She probably gonna struggle with a lot of mood swings. She probably gonna felt a lot on her body. And there is that woman that already accepted. She already loves the fact that she's woman. She already loves the fact that her blood is here. Those two type of women's gonna have a completely different ways to deal with menstrual phase. Why I call it, I to several of them, I put the woman that has no connection with her body yet, the woman that has no connection with her menstrual cycle, that still are in denial. I call it this woman as a crying baby. And the other woman, the woman that already has knowledge about her body, that is already has connection with her body, I'm calling her as a wise witch. Um, let's talk first about the crying babe. A woman on menstrual phase, and she's still on her crying babe phase. She gonna cry a lot and a lot, and everything hurts. Her body hurts. Her womb is squeezing, and she's just like, she wake up and she just don't wanna get up, get out of the bed, and she gonna Normally this woman tends to go more for the vitamins part. Oh, I can't do anything, I'm bleeding. Oh, life sucks, I'm bleeding. Oh, I hate life. I hate being a woman, I'm bleeding. Oh, it hurts. Oh, it's painful. It's not wrong being like this. I have been like this so many times. And even now that I already know my body, that I honor my body, that I honor a lot my blood. Sometimes, depending on how was your month, on the things you struggle in life, you're gonna be back as for a crying baby. And there is a sensation very interesting on this phase, which is like we 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 hate, like, let's suppose you are in a relationship, in a romantic relationship. You hate your partner, and at the same time you just want to be hugged as a baby. Does any woman relate to this? Because I remember that so strong when I was married. I remember that every time I was bleeding, I was like, "Ah," wishing he would hug me and hold me like very tight. And at the same time, get the fuck out of here. Don't get close to me. Is any woman relates to that, or is just me the crazy one? But let's talk now about the woman, the wise witch, which is the woman that already understand her blood. Her understand why she's bleeding. She understand why you are having cramps. You understand why this month you're releasing more emotions on your blood, so it's harder, but you understand that. You also honor this. Then we go for the wise witch. So as soon as your blood comes, you say, okay, amen, I'm healthy. I am on the best moment of my life to manifest things. I am a channel. A woman, when she's bleeding, her intuition, her spirituality, her ability to channel information, to connect with the people, to go deep in healing, on her own healing, it's incredible. And I wasn't going to be saying that now, but that's why they want us to be on birth control and to be completely disconnected from our menstrual cycle. Because a woman, once she's bleeding and she knows the power of it, there is nothing you cannot manifest for your life. It's amazing the things you can do once you're bleeding. Lida said, some months I'm crying, babe, and I want my partner far away from me, but doing everything for me at the same time. Yeah, crying baby face. But now that we are studying, that we are learning to honor ourselves, gets much easier. One need of a woman on her menstrual cycle, and this need, it's for the crying baby, but it's also for the wise witch, is self time. We also need some time for going inwards to just be with ourselves. So the person that bought a ticket when she was on her follicular phase, she definitely not going anywhere. If it's the first, second, third day of her blood for her menstruation, she probably gonna cancel. And we need to normalize this. We need to understand that this is being cyclical. At our menstruation, we're probably gonna need a break from people. We're gonna need a break from the kids. We're gonna need a break. The right thing would be to have a break even from working. That is what should happen to a woman. In the past, when a woman was bleeding, she wouldn't touch even the food. She wouldn't do anything. She would just receive, and she would be inward, more peaceful and more connected with her intuition. That is the moment where the best ideas come from. You're not on a creative phase yet, but you are in a phase where solutions come to you. because you're channeling. You can connect straight with spirituality. So look how powerful is this phase for us to expand it just crying and having creating problems with our partner, creating problems at work, creating problems with our friends. No. Are you menstruating? Amen. Let's bless our lives and everyone else is around us instead of creating problems. And if you need, cancel your plans. You are um, you're welcome to cancel your plans if you need. You're bleeding. You deserve it. But now that you know that, you can communicate better. Hey, friend, I'm not going to this hangout we booked a few days ago. I know, I'm sorry. I was really looking forward to it, but I am on my heaviest day of my period. And that is a moment that I need to take for myself. If you are surrounded by women that also understand the power of their own cycle, they will say, Amen, friend. Enjoy your moment. Mine's, and then we're gonna say, oh, this day will come for me in 10 days. That's gonna be me in 2 days. That's gonna be me in 5 days. Right? Also, the love language on that phase is quality of time. So, in case you are bleeding and you decide that you want to be with your friends, quality of time in this relationship matters. If a woman decides to go out with you, be you're both in a romantic relationship or in a friendship relationship or any kind of relationship, if a woman that knows her period decides to go out with you and she's bleeding, she respects you, she loves you, you matters to her. So be mindful that quality of time, it's important to this woman. So this woman, let's suppose that this woman that is bleeding today goes for a date and the partner of this person decides to be on the phone. She gonna freak out. She gonna react in the ways she wouldn't react if she was on her follicular phase or if she was in her ovulatory phase. If she was on her ovulatory phase, she would try to seduce and to bring the attention in a different way. If she was in the follicular phase, she would start to be playful and make jokes, and maybe she wouldn't even try to find a way to connect, even using the phone. But if a woman's bleeding and she's in a date and the person takes the phone out and be on the phone, this woman, you know what she wants to do? She wants to go home. And she will be for a few days without wanting to talk with you. Am I lying? Women's in this chat, am I lying? Tell me. Maybe you never noticed those changes before. You probably never notice how things happen in us as in a cycle. Maybe, and then you know what happens? You think you're crazy. You think you're crazy. It's not that someone else is telling you crazy. You think you're crazy. See how it's important to observe what phase of your cycle you are, what love language would be the best, like what I'm expecting. Because you can communicate. Like if you're going out with for a date, for example, you can tell the person, hey, I'm bleeding, and right now quality of time is very, very important for me. Hey, I am on my follicular phase, so let's go for a hiking in the mountains because nothing's dangerous today for me. Or if you are in your ovulatory phase, everything everything gonna change. the way you're gonna get involved with people, the way the person you're gonna be at work, the person you're gonna be with your customers. Like I work, like I have contact with many people. When I'm on my follicular phase, I'm like, oh, yeah, let's do a cacao circle. Let's do it. Let's do that. And when I'm on my PMS, Ben, I'm sorry. It's very different. We are different. We are different at each phase of our life. Now you have a little bit more ways to think about it. There is one other thing that I wanna talk before I go for next phase. Anyone has any questions about it? Um, so this now I talked about cycle itself. So those four phases we can have inside 28 days, inside one cycle. But let's talk about life. How can I control my emotions in this moment? I believe that the first thing is to be aware. It's hard to control the emotions itself, but we need to start acknowledging the emotions. So once you are inside the situation and you start to have a different emotion, let's suppose that you are with a partner and something happened and you start to feel angry or mad or upset or whatever. Take a deep breath first, acknowledge the emotions. A phrase that I say a lot: you only heal what you feel. So give a name and last name and an address for the emotion. Okay, I'm mad because he's on his phone and we are in a dinner. And then you give a name, a last name, and an address for the emotion. Then you're gonna think, am I feeling it all because this really bothering me and this is a situation that's happening a lot? Or, and then you say, which phase of my cycle am I? Oh, I'm at my PMS. Okay. Oh, okay. Then if you know you are on your PMS, you're gonna already stop everything. You're not gonna do PMS. Your luteal phase is not a phase for you to take any decision. It's not a time for you to fight with your partner. It's not a moment for you to fight with your girlfriends. Is you're just gonna say, okay, I will write this down and I will observe this. Is this something about me or is this something about how I'm feeling right now? Because my self esteem is low, because I am like all inflamed inside of my body. Why? Why is this happening? So I really believe that the first thing is to learn and to understand why and where they comes from. And also, if you keep the track of your cycle, you're gonna know in advance. Like there is something we do, which is like a moon calendar, moon mandala, where we draw, and we always know which phase of our cycle we are. So you can communicate in advance. Your partner, your boss, your co-works, your girlfriends, you can communicate in advance. And right now, I need quality of time. Right now, I am in need of words of affirmation. Like you can communicate. Communication is the gem for relationships. Any relationship with your kids, with your parents, with your partner, with your friends, in your community, communication. Valeria, I've never noticed those chains before. It makes a lot of sense now. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, it's interesting because most of us, no one teaches. We barely was taught about our hormonal cycle. Barely, barely. How many of you here had a doctor or a class in school or your mother or someone older than you that took a time to teach you about your menstrual cycle? Does anyone here have it? Had it? I had some learning, some knowledge. I first learned about it. I was studying veterinary because my teacher that was teaching about reproduction, she couldn't talk about all the animals and not talking about women because she knew we do not receive this knowledge from anywhere else. But we just don't have anyone talking about it. If you don't have anyone talking about it, about your hormones, how how to expect someone will explain how different our emotions gonna be in a cycle? It's impossible. It's about asking too much. But that's why we're here, because we want to change this. We want to really love being women, and there is no way to love being a woman if you don't understand how it is to be a woman. If you don't understand your emotions, if at the end of the day you're gonna call yourself crazy. Sophia say, my grandma and my mom helped me understand what was happening when I was bleeding, but they never explained anything in detail. School explaining about hormones, but very briefly. See, there is no information about it. There is no curiosity about it because, unfortunately, right now we live in a society that was made by men's and it is holded by men's. Like it is, where is a woman like a leader? Where we see leaders, female leaders, we don't see female um, presidents. We don't see big companies, which is a woman is leading it. And it's not a problem. Like, okay, situation has changed a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. We made so much improvement from my mom's generation. I agree with that. I see that. But even though it's our time, it's the moment that we need to start talking about those things, to start to spreading knowledge about it for our own health, for our own safe, for our own, like, for us to change how we talk about ourselves. Again, you're not bipolar, you're not crazy, you're just cyclical. Once you learn that, and once you learn how to flow with your changes, life is much, 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 much easier. And you know what? Even with it all, even with all those things that I teach you, some people is still gonna just decide to not put effort on that because they say they don't have time to study, they don't have to, they don't, they just, some people just decide to not do so because of, again, this masculine universe where we live in. We need to produce, 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 produce. So we don't have time. We don't have time to sit and journaling, because when you sit and journal and, put your emotions on the paper, very soon you're gonna learn that, oh, every beginning of the month I'm more explosive, I'm more happy, or oh, every middle of the month I'm very angry and I don't want to see anyone. So you now you know it's better for you to not make plans in the middle of the month, and then you go. I understand that because it's very easy for me to be like this, to be producing, 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 getting myself busy and busy, 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 and to don't pay attention to that. You know what happened? We start to become exhausted. We start to become anxious. We start to have panic attacks. We start to think we are not worthy. We start to think that everything that we do is wrong. We start to tell ourselves that we are not able to hold a good relationship with our friends. We are not able to keep a relationship because we exploded in a situation. In the other hand, men's don't know how to deal with this all, because they don't understand that it's only once in a month that will happen, that phase of you happens only once in a month, and he can take the best of you and not even have that happening if he also has knowledge about it. And here we'll share a personal story. um i I was married and I spent 10 years with my ex-partner. And in these 10 years, we barely never had a disagreement because he always knew the phase of my cycle. And there is a situation, I remember one day, we went to the gym together and it had this personal trainer there that I didn't get along with her very well. And on that day specifically, she started to pick with me and like correcting all the exercise I was doing. And I get so mad. I get so mad. I was so like, I hate this. I left the gym say, I hate this personal trainer. She's the worst. And I will send a message for the gym saying that she shouldn't be there and blah 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 blah. As soon as I left, and then he looked at me and said, "You're not gonna do anything. You're gonna be quiet. You're gonna be calm. You're gonna go back home. You're gonna have a very hot shower, and you're gonna rest. And we're gonna talk about it in a week." I looked at him and I was like, "What? Why are you saying that to me?" And he was like, "Oh, you're PMSing." And as soon as he said that to me, I was like, "Oh, oh, that's true. I'm PMSing." And guess what happened? Next week, I was loving, not loving because she wasn't my favorite, but it passed. Sherry, absolutely, literally was only taught to feel embarrassed about it, hide it, and feel shame and not get pregnant until I found my way to love my body and cycles in my 30s. Yes, yes. Let's learn about it until we have time, and hopefully, our daughters and the women that will come after us, they will just know that. And not only the women's, but the men's as well, because we're going to be teaching them. And like they will know, and we're gonna know how to express, and they're gonna know what to expect. Does it make sense? I started talking about the phases in life. So one of the phases we have is child. Like once before our first menstruation, we are child. Our needs are attention, validation, security. It's a very different need from a woman who just started her first menstruation. It's when the responsibilities comes. It's when you become sorry, you become resp Jesus. You become responsible for now. Like once you get your first period, the first thing that our mom says to you is exactly as Sherry say, don't get pregnant. You become to be responsible for what happens in your life. So the needs are different here. And once the calling for becoming mom gets in, it's completely different needs. We're gonna need things different from our partner. We're gonna need different things from our friends. We're gonna need different things from our family. Now, the relationship with our moms changed so much, exactly as you were changing in life. So imagine that all those changings that happens in a lifetime, they happen once in a month with us. Like every 7 days we change it. A woman, for example, right after she had a baby, she needs acts of service. She needs someone to hold her, to cook for her. This woman has no libido. She can communicate her partner much before she gets there. So we really need to learn that we are cyclical. We really need to honor this fact about our life. So once the menopause starts, women struggle a lot with menopause because they don't know how to honor that now they are becoming the wise women. They are becoming the woman that has less problems, like they have less drama in life. But it's also hard to deal with this change because people don't know what to expect from them. They don't know what to expect about themselves. And all the other phases, and especially postmenopause, which is like a gift. Imagine that once we don't have any more variation of our hormones, and it's just a moment to enjoy our grandkids, and like we're not gonna be a mess. Like as I say on my sermons, everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. We are this. We are cyclical. We have start. Our cycle start. It has a peak, and we go down our hormones, and then we start over again. And life is that. A woman, a sacred woman, she knows life is about cycles. Life happens in cycles in our relationships. We have friends that are very connected now. Maybe they're gonna life gonna happen to them, and they're gonna change country, and they're gonna change state, and they're gonna change city, and how we communicate with them will change, how we interact with them going to change. Life is about cycles. It's for a woman specifically. It is also for men, of course, but it's much more for women. Women are a cycle. Oh, Jesus. Cyclical. And we need to start learning and honoring this. I spoke a lot. Anyone has questions about this? Anyone has any comment? So that was everything that I wanted to bring, like for this subject, for this live. I really, really, really hope you learned something. You got something that you can already practice in your life, that you can help you already to change your relationships. Um, I really need your help also because this live was a warm up. I'm gonna be having two more lives now. The next one gonna happen on Thursday. The other one gonna happen Sunday. So please spread the word. If you love it, this live, take a print screen and post to help me. But also share with more women. And I really, really want to invite everyone here. If you still didn't sign up for the webinar, the link is here under with all the informations. Clicking the link, sign up for the webinar, put your email there so you can receive all the information from the next lives. This live only gonna have access people that are on the WhatsApp group or in the email list. Um, Also, there is the podcast I'm sending in the group. So let's make it happen. And on the 22nd August is the webinar. It is the big class where we're gonna be learning much more things. We're gonna go much more deeper about learning about how our body, how it works, how it affects our life, how can we have autonomy in our life, in our decisions, about our body, about everything in general. So if you still didn't sign up, click in the link below, sign up there, and that's it. I hope to see everyone again very, very, very soon. If you like this live, please share as well so more women can have access to it. And Thursday, we are together again. Love you all. And thank you for being with me. It was a pleasure. And I love it sharing all this information with you all. Bye.